everybody. So I'm going to look at taking this reed from what I would call a comfortable B to an in tune crow. So this is usually or very typical for what happens to my reeds after I balance them. Like I balance them, I clip them up to a C or as close to a C as I can get it, and then the next day I take them out, and inevitably I get a B crow. Now it's a very sharp B, very flat C. And the temptation would be to clip it, but I'm not going to clip it. And I'm not going to clip it because I can hear that the tip response, while it's okay, isn't as tight or as up in pitch as I want it to be. And the more I blow, the more it wants to flatten. Which says to me, I haven't really gotten the sides of the tip thin enough to help that crow stay up. So I'm going to go ahead and do that on this reed and then check back in with you so that you can hear the difference. It's a flat crow, so it's going to sound flat, just so you know. It has a lovely dark sound, but it's definitely flat. I mean, I really have to lift it up. I don't want to have to do that. So I like the proportions of the reed, so I really don't want to have to keep clipping it to get it up to pitch. There are other ways that I can go about trying to raise the pitch that will help keep the integrity of what's already there. Okay, so here that reed is that reed that I'm going to try to thin the tip a little bit more to raise the pitch, especially the sides of the tip. And here's another interesting thing. If you look at the surface of the tip, so looking mainly around here, like this area, right? And then I compare it with what's here. It sort of comes through on the video. It's not as great as I'd like, but I can tell that I did a much better job of thinning this tip on the sides than I did this one. And so my thought is that if I can get that little extra bit of cane off the sides, I'm going to try to get my plaque as close to the edge as possible. And it's really this area right here that I want to kind of thin. And I'm just going to lightly kind of blend it forward, really trying to thin out the sides. And there we go. It's not a lot of cane, but just doing that one side, I have a feeling is going to change things. Okay, so that helped tremendously keep the pitch of that crow up, and we are more close to a C. Okay, now that low crow is a little hesitant, and I still want a little bit more clarity in that tip crow. I like a nice, clear, clean tip crow. Okay, and I think that if I get this side to look a little thinner on those sides, just a touch, to match the other, that's going to do the trick. Oh, I can really see where that cane is right there. Oh gosh, sorry. And I do typically like to use my whole knife when I'm doing this so that I can really find the sharpest part of the blade. it's a little bit too flat, but it's also still not, oops, sorry, causing all kinds of problems trying to do this with this setup. But let me see what it sounds like. So my upper notes are still sinking because now I've blown some air through it and that crow wants to go flat. Okay. It doesn't feel like to me like it's in the tip. What I'm doing right now is I'm feeling the heart and the spine in the heart in particular to see if I notice anything being thicker on one blade or the other. And I feel like I've done a pretty good job. I'm checking the closure of the tip. That's pretty good on that side. Ah, interesting. So it looks to me, yes, okay. Okay, so this is fairly typical. So hard to show on camera, but my top blade is a little more curved, a little bit thicker than the bottom blade. And I can feel that even with my fingers. So even though I risk lowering the pitch again, I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit off the heart, just a tiny bit. Just to see what that does. And yes, I'm blending it in to the tip. Reeds are so weird. Reeds are weird. I still have plenty of length on this reed too, so I can clip it if I need to, but there's something that's telling me not to. Okay, I still want the okay. That sound is telling me I've got good low crow, I've got good tip response, the overall everything is stable. Now I'm going to go ahead and clip it. I'm sorry, I can't clip on camera, people, because whenever I do it on camera, I get crooked. So I have to do it off camera. Just a tiny, and I only took about, I don't know if you can see that, just that little bit off. And that waffling of the low crow is because the back of this reed is still really quite strong. So now we're going to go ahead and do a little bit more back there, especially the top of the back, just a teeny bit. You may notice I'm using a different knife. I finally figured out how to sharpen this knife so that I can get an edge. It still does not stay as long as my Chudnow knife, which I really love, but I need to order a new Chudnow knife. I just haven't had time to do it. So in the meantime, I've been kind of playing around with this knife a little bit more. It's taken me since 2019, I kid you not, to get it figured out. But it's fine. it does the job right now. Okay, let's see. I don't like that crow as much. Yeah, see, it's a little bit of little fooey. So okay, we're gonna I'm still not happy with the tip crow. I'm gonna work on dialing that tip crow in, and then I'll hop back on the camera and show you what I'm really looking for. The other thing that is interesting to note, trying to problem solve here, is that I'm also looking at my back. Let me see if I can show that. Will it show up against the white? It might. Actually, it does. So the proportion of heart and back here is not really great, especially on this blade. Can you see how short the back is, especially on the left side? And that I've not really taken a lot out of the spine and the back on the right hand side. So that could be causing some of this as well. I'm going to fix those two things and then I'll pop back on. All right. So I've dialed this reed in and I did two things. I did go back up and I really thinned the sides of the tip some more. I did do one small clip, but more importantly, I looked at that profile again and I shortened the heart ever so slightly, and in doing so made sure that that profile in the back was even. And I do think that when I'm looking at the profile, sometimes what I'm seeing, or most of the time what I'm seeing, is the spine. And I really tried to make that sort of line from the profile view symmetrical on both blades. And some really nice things happened. I mean, you can't ask for better than that. Those second octave notes are sitting up what I would call normally for me. Yeah, so that whole balancing stage, getting it close, but understanding that that second day, it is not going to be perfect when you take it out. You still have to keep working with it. And in fact, now that we're in this transition to winter, I will tend to move things or work things down a little bit more slowly. Just because I find that that helps the reed settle in. But I always go back to how that tip engages and the quality of that tip crow. And then I listen really closely to hear what happens as the low crow comes in. Does it keep the tip crow up or does it pull it flat? And if it starts pulling it flat, that means I've done something asymmetrically in how I've structured the tip and the heart. And I have to start looking more closely at thicknesses on the sides of the tip, on the V, on the blend, and all the little the little things, which I often don't see very well until day 2 or day 3, right? So patience is a virtue. It's why I make a lot of reeds, because I'm finishing a lot simultaneously all at the same time, so that I always have something that kind of works. Moral of the story. All right. Until next time. See ya.